Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt. We've been talking about the Christian Women's Summit that was held a couple of days ago with Sharyl Mays. She's a paralegal that works with me at Marquardt Law Firm. We both share our faith in Christ, and we went to the event as a vendor sponsor for Talk Law Radio, supporting 6:30 a.m. Radio station here. And this is our fourth segment, so we're going to talk about legacy.
And now, it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
This is Memorial Day weekend, and so I wanted to say something about Memorial Day. It's about legacy, you know, the legacy that soldiers and U.S. military veterans who died in battle should be remembered on this day, and so they have a legacy of serving our country to helping preserve our freedom. And I wanted to just remember them at this time, give them some honor and reverence. 3 years after the Civil War ended on May 5th, 1868, the head of an organization of Union veterans, the Grand Army of the Republic, established Decoration Day as a time for the nation to decorate the graves of the war dead with flowers. To ensure the sacrifices of America's fallen heroes are never forgotten, the U.S. Congress in year 2000 passed and the President signed into law the National Moment of Remembrance Act, creating the White House Commission of the National Moment of Remembrance. The Commission's charter is to encourage people of the United States to give something back to their country, which provides them so much freedom and opportunity, by encouraging and coordinating commemorations in the United States of Memorial Day and the National Moment of Remembrance. The National Moment of Remembrance encourages all Americans to pause wherever they are at 3 p.m. local time on Memorial Day for a minute of silence to remember and honor those who have died in service to the nation. I had never heard about that.
I hadn't heard about the moment of silence either.
I like that.
I'm going to have to set an alarm.
Right. I'm going to incorporate that into my day. Of course, something else that comes from Memorial Day is a day off. It's a federal holiday. And because of the nature of the season, people want to be outside and play with their kids and their pets, and usually people spend time with their family on that day.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the nice things about being in San Antonio, Military City, USA, is there is a lot of memorial events that you can go to. There's, parades all over town. And I know living right next to one of the bases, we always enjoy going out and listen to the planes fly over and stuff. My grandfather was a career veteran in the Air Force, and he's told me stories about being in Korea and Vietnam, and stories about firsthand experiences of men going into planes on his behalf when he should have been up there and passing away.
No.
And so I am very grateful for the men and women that have served the United States.
Amen. There are some hidden legal issue blind spots for Memorial Day weekend. If you're traveling, which a lot of people are, it's one of the most heavily traveled weekends of the year. If you're driving on the highway, there's going to be more law enforcement out writing speeding tickets. So be careful about that. And of course, drive safely so that your family can arrive safely.
Yeah, there's a lot of construction going on right now, so be very careful.
That makes it even more dangerous. And also, don't drink too much alcohol, because you can get in trouble for that. And of course, it's dangerous for everybody around you as well.
It is. Just just do an Uber or stay
Right.
home.
Yeah, it's easier to call for a ride than to get bailed out of jail.
Yeah, you don't want to go to jail on a long weekend because the magistrate's not going to be there till Tuesday morning.
Yeah, hear that. Also, with Legacy and our Christian Women's Summit, I just wanted to talk about Christian women that are important in our lives. I'll start with my dad's mom, my grandmommy. She had a very strong faith, and she would give us gum at church.
I love that.
Yeah. So I honor her for sharing her faith with me and being a strong Christian woman. It was an example for me to how to carry out my life. My mom's mom, my mama, was the same. She went to church and Bible study every week and would talk about what God was doing in her life. And my mom was a terrific Christian. She placed all of her hope in the Lord. And my Aunt Debbie, my dad's sister, who has since passed, she was a terrific Christian woman. I remember her playing her flute in church when I would visit her. Okay, so tell us some of the famous Christian women in your life.
So my number one would be my granny. She was from a small town in the northeast corner of Oklahoma, lived on the farm with her grandparents and great-grandparents.
Wow.
And she met my grandfather on a blind date, and after 2 weeks, they decided they wanted to get married. And so about a month later, she finished her senior year of high school and got on a Greyhound bus and headed to Selma, Alabama in the late 50s, and she never looked back. And along the way, she had ups and downs in her faith. And when we were growing up, they were always bouncing back and forth between Houston and Oklahoma and California and New Mexico and back to San Antonio.
Wow.
We laugh about it because they moved 48 times in 49 years.
Wow.
And so, but along the way, she took her faith everywhere with her. Mm-hmm. And after my grandparents were married for 45 years, my grandfather decided to stop drinking. And at that point, we just saw their faith take off together. And my grandmother was 4'9". I mean, she had the gray poofy hair, and she was everybody's granny. There was not a place that we went that she did not hug somebody and tell them God was with them. And she led a juvenile detention ministry for 16 years. And then, she had a massive heart attack at the age of 44 and never let it stop her. And so just watching this little bitty woman have the faith that was bigger than life was just amazing. And even after her passing a couple of years ago, I learned more about her and what she went through and the forgiveness that she had to seek for herself from God. And that just impacted my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
And I did it without crying.
That's a terrific history. I can't believe you remember all that. Oh. You must talk about that a lot.
We do. I mean, when my dad passed away when I was 12, she was there. And, she took my oldest in from day one and just raised her to be an amazing young lady. So,
thank you for sharing. Yeah. That's a terrific history and testimony to your family and your legacy, her legacy that you will always remember. I hope that your daughters know that story.
Oh, they do. We talk about her all the time.
If they don't, they'll always have this episode.
Yes. Yeah. When we start missing her, her favorite perfume was Charlie. And we all got a bottle when she passed away. And so when we miss her, we go and spray this on the teddy bear that she gave my oldest when she was born, or the piggy that she gave my youngest when she was born. So we keep her with us.
Yeah. One thing that people can do that I encourage them to do is to write a Christian preamble for their will. The preamble doesn't really do anything, legally speaking, to help you leave your stuff to your beneficiaries, but it's a way of expressing your faith. And it could be a Bible verse, or it could be a whole story. My mom even found an old will through Ancestry that said this gentleman was going to leave his soul to the Lord. He was giving it back to the Lord.
I love that.
I did too. So I have some examples that I share with people who are passionate about their faith. But I'm sure there's many others that people can come up with on their own. The important part is that it's set aside from the legal aspects of the will, because we don't want to cause the will to be invalid or confusing because of something we write about our faith. Mm-hmm. So if you ask your attorney to put a Christian preamble in your will, if the attorney has no idea what you're talking about, you can call us at Marquardt Law Firm. Other legacy that comes to mind? Other Christian women in your life?
I will have to say my mom would be the next Christian woman in my life. Obviously, being the daughter of my grandmother, she got some of that rubbed off on her. But, my mom got married young, unfortunately got divorced young, and was a single mom. And, to watch her have to transition from a life that she thought she was going to have to the life that she did have, and just the faith that carried her along through all of it, to raise two girls on her own, one having mental issues that were a challenge along the way, and finding that balance, and then finding love again, and the challenges that came with that. And my mom is one of the strongest women I've ever met. She is faith-driven. She is the funniest woman I've ever met. And she's my best friend. So I couldn't do life without her.
Yeah, that's awesome to honor her and remember her and take her legacy and pass that on.
Yeah, when I'm making decisions, I ask myself, would God approve of this? Would my mom approve of this?
Yeah.
And then would John and the girls approve of this?
Yeah.
So she's always up there in my decision making.
Thank you so much for sharing your faith and your family with us today.
Absolutely, anytime.
Yeah. So we have to end our show today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Talk Law Radio. We talked a little bit about the law. We talked a lot about faith and the issues of health that women and us all go through. Please share this with your friends. Give us a call or an email at host@talklawradio if you have ideas or questions. I'm Todd Marquardt. This is Sharyl Mays. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.